A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you in to yet another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube, our favorite place to be on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, and actually just about any other time, any other day, because they have all that a sports fan needs, Goon. They have the TVs up there where you can watch said sports. They have fantastic food and a great variety of selection for you to choose from. And very importantly, dear Goon, they have the beverages.
Yep, here.
Yes, and you can partake in all of that while enjoying the best service you're going to find in this or any other area. And it really is. It's just like your friendly neighborhood bar from the days of yore. You can come on down to Quaker Steak and Lube. Check it all out for yourself. Tuesdays are a great day to do so. If you've not been here before, come on down. Check out the all-you-can-eat wing buffet. That gets underway right as we go off the air here at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Quaker Steak and Lube, our home away from home. And again, we are thrilled to partner with the good folks here at Quaker Steak and Lube for our little program.
Coming up on year 7, buddy. We're in 6 years in.
Unbelievable.
I was actually going to punch you in the face today if you said another beautiful day here in Happy Valley, because it is far from that.
No, in fact, I have a feud right now with Chris Buchanani, that jerk. If you listen to his program yesterday, from 2 to 4, this same time slot, he does his show on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and usually hands that second hour on Wednesday over to Landon Tangwall with Behind the Wall. But yesterday, the dear Booch is talking about how we should embrace and welcome a cold spell like this. It toughens us up. It makes us hardy, to which I say phooey. Nonsense. Get out of here with the ridiculous cold take. It's not even a hot take. It's a cold take. Embrace the cold. Enjoy this. Embrace the opportunity to toughen yourself up. Get out of here with that nonsense.
I'm wearing shorts, Booth.
Get out of here with that nonsense.
I'm wearing shorts right now.
Awful. Awful take. We just need I want like 1 or 2 days of winter. That's what I want.
We're on month 3 right now.
I like the 4 seasons,
November.
but I like what I need is to find where we can have like 5 weeks of spring, 5 months of spring, 5 months of fall, not weeks, months, knucklehead. 5 months of spring, 5 months of fall, little month of summer, maybe 6 weeks of summer, and then maybe a week or 2 of winter. That's what I need. I want the 4 seasons. I'm all for the 4 seasons. I just don't want all of the seasons to be equal.
I don't know.
I'm not a fan of it.
I thoroughly enjoy this. Is our weather. Got us in a couple playoff games. The Eagles won the playoff game in the snow. The Bills are up there playing in this stuff.
It's
a beautiful thing.
I despise it.
It's just beautiful. I mean, look at that icy track, and look at how pretty the cars are with that gray schmut all over them, that like dust and mung and
despise.
It's a beautiful thing, Iron.
Everything about it.
Well, I did see that somebody said that the Deep South is going to get some snow very soon.
Yeah,
and that's going to be hilarious because having lived in Virginia, and we do have some, living in Richmond, you get some weather. But they do not have the capability to get rid of that. They really do not have that type of stuff, the salt in the plows and stuff like that. So,
well, you think Virginia doesn't? Check out Texas and Florida.
Oh, exactly right. That's what I'm saying. Once you get below Virginia, I don't even think they even have plows or trucks especially in Florida. There's really no need. But and then what was it, Dallas 2 weeks ago for the Ohio State game, the Ohio State Texas game was in an ice storm. Oh man. They don't know how to handle it. It's crazy.
All right.
We do just fine with it, Jeff.
Yeah, lots to get into. NFL playoffs, moving on to the championship games, AFC and NFC coming up this weekend. Of course, you can listen for all of that action on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. We have ourselves a national champion. I was not going to be happy no matter what happened last night. what I knew was going to irk me, and it is irking me today, is the Ohio State fans. Yeah, Ryan Day's our man. We knew all along. Take that, Paul Feinbaum. Take that, Stephen A. Smith. Now, were their fans supportive? Of course. But not all of the ones that are acting like they were, yeah, that's our man. We proved you all wrong. A lot of you were the jerks that were saying after Michigan, man, we need to move on. We got to find somebody that can win the big one. And yes, as I mentioned last week, I really am. I'm happy for Ryan Day because the guff that he was getting was over the top. When you look at his overall record and what he has done and the way he has built up that program. And again, yes, this year I get the narrative, and it's an accurate narrative that this was the best roster that money could buy in college football. It also came with a lot of egos. And after that Michigan loss, Goon, I'm telling you, I think we talked about it. It's like I could see this going either way. I could see it galvanizing them. And I do think Ryan Day does a very good job of getting buy-in from his players. But because you had, some players coming in from the outside, I could see it going the wrong way. And I could see them just kind of not showing up and tanking. Well, obviously they galvanized in a big way and put it all together and had themselves an amazing playoff run and went out and earned the national championship. But Ryan Day managing that team, I think is a little more challenging than what some would lead you to believe.
Oh, no doubt about it. That fan base is fickle as heck. No relation to Luke Fickle, but yes, it's a very, very, very finicky fan base, and it's the team up north, man. They permeate in their heads, and it's absolutely insane. Like we kid around about Michigan. When we joined the Big Ten, they were only worried about winning Big Ten titles. They really care about bowl games.
Yep.
Dude, Ohio State is Michigan is so far in Ohio State's heads, it's crazy. We knew going in the whole season, our fear was Ohio State running the table and dominating, and everybody else in the country said, okay, well, that's what it's going to cost, $20 to $25 million to get a super, super duper team. Still going to lead those guys. You still got to, when you lose to an Oregon, at Oregon, okay, that's okay. You'll still be able to play in a Big Ten title probably against that team. Okay, everything is still good. And then you go out and lose as a 19-point favorite over your hated rival. I don't care how much money you're paying those kids. It needed the coach to galvanize those kids and bring those kids together. And it turned into the us versus them mentality, which I think that Ryan Day very, 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 very well played by him, the us versus them mentality. Because it was, I've seen people say we could have taken down both teams yesterday, and I highly doubt that. Ohio State was as fast and as talented a football team as I've seen. And this goes back to when we played them. They made some mistakes against us, and we made some mistakes against them, but that game shouldn't have been as close as it was for us, in my opinion. But that Oregon game in the Rose Bowl, my Lord, it was just a complete domination. And that's when you knew right then and there. It was like, okay, well, if Ohio State's going to play that way, no one's going to beat them in this playoff. And it is the playoff world now. They can have – so we went back to – they lose to Michigan that last game of the year. They are out of the playoffs. Done. Kaput. Ryan Day is probably fired. They're going to blow the whole thing up is what they probably do. Right?
It does make you wonder. And listen, it is what it is, but it's fun to just wonder, speculate.
Yep.
What if we had this 12-team format?
Yep.
Or better yet, a 16-team format, going back even to the 1980s.
Yep.
How differently would the stories that have been written in college football be? And obviously, we'll never know. We can speculate this and that, but there's a couple of things that do bother me with some of the national narrative. The whole coaching thing, just it always and I guess I understand it as far as it goes, but the whole idea that a coach and whether or not we view him as a great coach or not hinges on a game here or there just has always seemed ridiculous to me. And, it's just like we measure quarterbacks, I think, too much on championships. And again, I understand it as far as it goes. I think we've talked about this too. But like Dan Marino, to me, I would put him as a passer and as a quarterback, a leader, whatever. I would put him up there with Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, whoever you want to throw out there. Now, he very rarely gets mentioned in the same breath with those guys, simply because he doesn't have the Super Bowl rings. There's a bunch of things that go into the Super Bowl rings, and yes, quarterback play, no question part of it. And Patrick Mahomes is rightfully considered one of the all-time greats, in part because of the consistency with which he and his team have competed in the postseason. Same thing with Tom Brady. But I'm just telling you, like, they had a discussion the other morning on Fox Sports Radio on Jaden Daniels and the season he's had, and would that have been like if you put Caleb Williams on the Commanders and Jaden Daniels, and we've discussed this for years. There are so many things that come into any individual's career, coaching or quarterback or any other player, that have an impact on that individual's success. Again, you look at Nick Saban when he was at Michigan State and LSU. Good coach, no question. Well, he wasn't looked at as the man. You got to put that guy above Bear Bryant. Nobody was saying that. When Bill Belichick was with the Browns, nobody was thinking, this Belichick fellow, I would take him over Chuck Noll, Bill Walsh. Yes. And so, yes, that's one thing is, when we talk about Mike Tomlin, the one thing, like, he does not have right now, like since Ben Roethlisberger, the Steelers have not found, and it's partly Tomlin needs to go find it. Well, okay. First of all, there's a handful of them out there, and where the Steelers have drafted, they haven't had the opportunity to get the quote-unquote, and there's no such thing, and I understand that, the quote-unquote surefire guy. Now, when you look at Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, again, I think it was the right fit, right time. He is a terrific quarterback. There is no question about that. But I think he has the right coach for him this season, and everything just kind of came together. It's interesting, and again, you're never going to know definitively the answer, but do I think Caleb Williams would have had more success had he been with the Commanders this year, and Jaden Daniels maybe isn't getting quite the rave reviews if he was with the Bears? Yeah, I do. I think all of that stuff matters. It matters where you go, what the organization is like, what the locker room is like, and whether or not you have that right fit with the coach. And I will say, like, the Ryan Day, Will Howard thing worked ultimately at Ohio State. But I do wonder if, because again, as you said, if we had last year's system, that story isn't written. Those chapters aren't written, and they're just left going to some bowl game that they may very well lose because this wasn't the objective, to go win some bowl game and not be playing for a national title. And you're right. Maybe Ryan Day loses his job.
Who's your four? It would have been Oregon, Georgia, Texas, and then we would be in a dogfight with Notre Dame, but I think we would get the notch.
I think so, too.
The nod, because our loss was to Ohio State, where their loss was to Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
Now we go to the Big Ten title game and lose that game. Now we have two losses, but that should not play in. So that's an argument I've had with some Notre Dame fans. So both teams last night, in my opinion, would not have been in that title.
I think that's right.
So you can go back 30 years. Please do it. Let's do it. 40 years. Some teams that played and just were hot. I mean, I'm just speaking from my experience, and that was our 93 team when KC started lighting people up late in the year, and then we go down to play Tennessee, and he outduels Heath Schuler, throws for 300-some yards in that game. I'm telling you, we would have made – that was the early 1994 team right there, and I really personally believe we could have made a run in that game, if we had got into that title. So I'm just going from the Penn State perspective. That 99 team that lost to Minnesota, then lost to Michigan, I think that philosophy would be changed if there was a playoff. Because I think a lot of guys did, they just gave up and not quit. But, yeah, I guess they did quit. But that team was it was so intent on winning the national title. And when they lost the game, they lost complete focus. Where I think that if they got into that playoff, if they, had they lost to Minnesota, knowing that they were still eligible to get into the playoffs, that wasn't going to happen with one loss back in the day. You know how that was. I know exactly how it was. So there's a lot of teams. 2005 Penn State's team. People talk about, that 2 seconds at Michigan. We would have been undefeated. But guess what? USC and Texas were both undefeated, and we were not jumping either one of them. So we would have been sitting at 3 in that year too.
Yep.
So, yes, college football finally did something right, and they had a playoff. There's definitely some flaws and freckles and moles to it and warts, but it is what it is. I think that it went out last night. Only thing I would change, put that game on Friday night. Monday night, Inauguration Day, Martin Luther King Day, after 2 great days of football, Saturday and Sunday. I'm saying if they had played that game Friday night, they probably would have had twice as many viewers. Because I know a lot of people who didn't watch because they were watching the Trump inauguration.
Yeah.
And that circus. So, that's the only thing I would change. But I'd love, you know me, I'd love the fact that they finally have a freaking playoff where they can settle this on the field. Now, it would always be a question of number 17 and 18 and 19 and 20 complaining, why aren't they in? The same way we did this year with 12 teams, so-and-so deserves to be in. There are going to be arguments all the time.
Yep.
But it was the argument for the SEC this year and was like, well, you should have beat Vanderbilt, Alabama, and you would have been in the playoffs. So I think it turned out great. But, just the scenarios. What if Ryan Day goes on and wins like 6 or 7 national titles, and then you look back, and it is like the Nick Saban thing. Like, Saban was a failed coach at Michigan State. Let's not kid ourselves. He left Ohio. He left Michigan. He was not leaving Michigan State with a cupboard full. That place was not going to go where he was taking. So he goes down to – did he go to LSU first and then the Dolphins, or did he go to the Dolphins and then LSU?
LSU,
then the Dolphins? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, he made his bones down in LSU because he really was not that – he wasn't all that when he was at Sparty because I played against him.
So a couple of other things. This whole boy, it was unfair. Oregon had to face Ohio State in the quarterfinals. I don't have nearly as big of a problem as seemingly the overwhelming majority of fans and media do with the system the way it is, because I do think you should be rewarded for winning a conference championship. Now, I don't think it's the end of the world if, all right, well, yeah, we can reward them by putting them in the playoffs, but let's not give them a top 4 seed. I can argue that either way. Again, you look across professional sports, which I don't hear the complaints anywhere near the degree. Well, why is this team seeded just because they won a division when this team had a better overall record? It's like, well, because that's the way it's set up. We reward division championships, and there's always going to be years, and it tends to be pretty cyclical in like Major League Baseball or the NFL. With all right, man, this year it's the NFC East that's having a great run. This year it's the AFC North. That year it's the NFC South. Whatever. So I think over time, again, we're 1 year into this, and there's grand proclamations. Well, this is broken, and this team had a tougher road. Listen, do you think the Detroit Lions fans maybe are saying, hey, why did we have to face the Washington Commanders team that has, maybe the hottest quarterback in the league right now? Well, because that's again, if you are a championship team, you've got to win over the teams that are on your path. That's just the way it works. Sometimes it's like, man, that seems unfair. Like, we're getting the hottest team out there, and maybe we just got an injury right before the postseason. Man, we had the best record all year long. Why are we getting penalized? Well, you're not getting penalized. It's the way the seeding works.
I want to add one thing to what you said, and you said you want to reward the conference championship game winners, but you can also not punish the guys who lose those games because they're still playing in them. And that's, one of the adages, one of the things last night, that neither Ohio State nor Notre Dame played in conference title games. You know what I mean? So,
yep.
I mean, that's the thing. So if you want to reward the conference championship winners, championship game winners, if we're going to stay with the championship games,
yep,
you can't really, disavow the guys who lose that game because they're playing one more game than everybody else. I mean, that was weird that it came up like that. The two teams that played in the final wouldn't have been in the final, would not have been in last year's Final Four.
Yep.
Neither one played in their conference title game. That's a big thing. And then the other one was that the four teams that had byes lost their first game.
Yep.
Just weird stuff. But, I mean, yes, this is not a perfect thing, but it is much better than we had, I think, than what was there before. There's no doubt in my mind, if anybody wants to have the argument, you're an idiot if you think that the four that we had last year was a better system than playing this college football playoff.
There are people that do believe that, and the argument, and I mean, I understand the argument. Like, I understand what is being said. I I vehemently disagree with it. But the argument, and I should have saved the, I forget, I want to say it was somebody with The Athletic, but I'm not sure I'm right there. So, but it was a national columnist that said the system is not working with the 12-team playoff. And the reason is the two biggest upsets of the year have been rendered meaningless. And they were talking about Northern Illinois defeating Notre Dame, and then Michigan taking out Notre Dame. And because both of those teams still got into the playoffs and ultimately played for the national title, it solidifies that the regular season does not have the meaning that it once did. I understand, again, the argument. I just completely disagree with it, because that is the whole point. In what other sport do we say, all right, if you are not on every day that we expect you to be on, meaning you're not winning every game that we think you should win, then you just don't get to play for a championship. We don't do it in basketball at any level. We don't do it in any other level of football. We don't do it in baseball, obviously. I mean, the best team can lose to the worst team on a weekend series. Well, yeah, it's an upset. It happens. Hockey, I mean, in no other sport do we say, well, the result of one single regular season game should prohibit you from the opportunity to compete in a championship. There are people that, man, that's what made college football great. I'm like, no, playoff anything is more exciting, more dynamic, because it is a championship feel to it. Those that want to argue, well, no, every game in a 12-game season, when we had the 4-team format, or when you didn't have any playoffs, then every game that was a playoff game. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And if anything, what I think needs tweaking in college football, and I think we're going to get there, and I think it's going to be fairly soon. It's not going to be next season, but it is trying to get more equitable schedules across the board. Now, that's never going to be completely fair either. The NFL, I think, does the best job of this, trying to balance it out. But there are teams that clearly every year, and you don't know necessarily at the start of the year which one it is that boy, that team had an easier path. This team had a more difficult path.
I'm going to stop you right there. Sorry. This is because the NFL teams have agreed to that.
Yes.
Okay. This is the problem. The NCAA makes these, or the college football, whoever is making the rules.
Great point.
Are they not asking 135 teams, or are they just saying, no, this is what we're going to do it now? Right? I mean, in the NFL, you can't complain because you people, not you people, you were the teams that agreed to this. Now, did all the Big Ten, all the ACC, Mountain West, Big 12, and the SEC, did they all agree to it, to have the playoff format the way it is?
Yes, but so Urban Meyer agrees that and not that Urban Meyer is the end all be all, but he said, listen, I've been in the discussions, and he believes this will never happen because the Ohio States and the power brokers in the Big Ten, your Ohio States, Michigans, Penn States, your Alabamas, Georgias. His take is, what's the incentive for those schools to, yes, give us a more balanced schedule, meaning a couple of tougher games during the course of the season when we're ruling the way it is. We like the system the way it is. We are the ones bringing in the TV revenue, et cetera, et cetera. So, and I understand what he's saying. This is where I do think college football needs to go the route, and you've got to have agreement. And Urban Meyer is saying you're not going to get agreement on this. You need to get an agreement that there's a commissioner's office, and that the commissioner's office, or what, a ruling office that runs college football, not necessarily affiliated directly with the schools or the conferences, can look at it and say, listen, this year, these are the schedules, and this is how we came to it using whatever formulas. And again, it's never going to be perfect because you have teams that surprise every year, teams that disappoint every year. You can have off seasons that develop differently than what you're anticipating, all of that. And the same thing happens in all sports, right? They try to do it in baseball. They try to do it in hockey, all of this. But certainly you can create more balance. Let's have a cross-section game, which it sounds like the Big Ten and the SEC are at least working on, where, all right, we have a game and we're trying to match up comparable talents. Now, again, maybe you have a year like Michigan had this year when you're trying to schedule them against Georgia, or you have, a surprising team that comes out of nowhere and has a great run, and they're taking on us also ran in your conference. That's going to happen. But at least there would be more competitive balance than scheduling 3 cupcakes at home, which Penn State has done next year. And again, I'm not knocking it. I understand it, and I think with the system the way it is, it makes a ton of sense. James Franklin's not trying to, hey, we want to do the fairest thing to all of football. No, he's trying to put his program in the best chance to go win a national title. And I think this is probably the best path right now with that non-conference schedule.
9-team conference schedule where the SEC only does an 8.
Yep.
So, I mean,
all of that factors
in. We have a watered-down conference now. We have a lot of lesser teams. But that 9th game is just as good as playing an SEC team at times. Depends on who the team is. So, I mean, if everybody agrees to play 8 conference games and they have 3 then 1 crossover game, that's fine. See, we also got to get away from the 16, 17 game schedule for these kids. I mean, that seems I don't know.
With the money involved now?
Man, I'm not going to lie to you. I freaking loved the last 6 months. I absolutely loved it. Dude, our players love it. As Nick Dawkins said on the last weekend of the Players show, he goes, when was the last time there was this much interest in 15 teams this weekend.
Yeah.
It was usually 3 teams you're worried about in the last weekend of the year and then going into the playoffs or conference titles game.
Yep.
Now you have 15 to 20 teams that are involved, and they're all into it. And everybody's looking to see what are they doing, who are they playing, what's going on there, what's going on here. So I loved it, no doubt about it. But there is a – I mean, we are in a second semester right now. I just got to say this.
Oh, that's cute. You're talking about academics?
But I have to say this. So my senior year, 1995, we played Auburn in the Outback Bowl. Okay, so then I believe the combine was mid-February.
Yep.
See, now you're talking about a guy like Tyler Warren, who's going to the NFL, is guaranteed to be a first-round pick. I get it. But you got a guy at Bowling Green he's been training a whole more month than Tyler Warren. Are you going to maximize Tyler Warren's performance at the end at his comp? All we're asking right now is that NFL combine is not going to mean crap anymore because it's going to be early March. They moved it back since I had played because it was mid-February from when I played. And I played in a bowl game in the Senior Bowl, January 20th, like this weekend.
Yeah.
And then 3 or 4 weeks later, I'm running combine drills. And I've had, I had a knee surgery my senior year. I had no time to rehab my leg to get the best I could possibly be for the combine, for my NFL future. So you're talking about just take Tyler Warren as an example versus the guy from Bowling Green. The guy who, both of them split All-American deals. He will have an unbelievable – he has had a month, maybe more, to train than Tyler Warren has for the NFL Combine. Now, we can't complain as fans, and the NFL can't complain when the college football players are going to go to the Combine and say, I'm not working out. I'm going to work out at my Combine, and I'm going to need those 3 or 4 weeks more to train.
Yep.
And that's the truth. That is what they need. So that is going to be a thing. So you got to fix that up. And of course, as you said, I'm worried about the academics. We are into a second semester now. I mean, okay, so I know it didn't happen, but what if somebody failed out of school? This in the fall, what if they got a 0.64 I got a 1.64 as the lowest I ever had. So I got a 1.64. But if I was under a 2.0, I would be ineligible for my cumulative.
Yeah. Okay,
so did that play into account? Would we have been playing playoff games with illegal players if they had under 2.0 degrees or 2.0 where back in the day it was just missing a bowl game? Now we're missing 4 games possibly with suspensions because you're ineligible. There's a lot that goes into a lot that needs to be work as usual. How much, again, I have to say, because I say it every show, the 2 jobs I do not want in this world right now are James Franklin, the head football coach of a major college football team, or the athletic director of a major college university. Right. Because it is so much indecision. Just what I said right there, that's 5 questions that compound on to 5 more, and then 15 more after that. And 20, it's crazy. It's never going to be perfect. We shall see.
It's a lot to navigate, and there is so much uncertainty with everything that you're trying to navigate that, I'm with you. The challenges there are through the roof. We'll take a break here. We're back with much more. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fall.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates, Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox, the Goon and Ironhead.
Oh, we're back. It is a little chilly out on this Tuesday afternoon here in the Valley of Happiness. May want to put a coat on, may want to, throw a hat on if you're heading outside. And maybe not stay out, real long on a day such as this. But we have lots to talk about in the world of sports. Let's go back. Ohio State, Notre Dame, Goon. That first drive by Notre Dame was, unbelievably impressive.
Yep.
And I'm watching it, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe Notre Dame.
I fell for it.
Because what I thought the real advantage was going to be last night was the defensive line of Ohio State against that Notre Dame offensive line, which is, a patchwork offensive line right now. And I think ultimately that played out to a certain degree. But what the real difference was the passing game of Ohio State and their ability to get big plays when they needed them.
Jeez.
And Will Howard deserves credit for that. Chip Kelly deserves credit for that. Ryan Day, but also, they have an elite receiving corps. And it is the one thing, if you haven't seen the projections for next season, there's like 5 or 6 services, well, probably more than that, but 5 or 6 that I've seen now that have, the way too early rankings for next season. Penn State is in the top 5 in all but one. There was some ne'er-do-well that have them either 7th or 9th, but everybody else has them 4th or 5th going into next season as we stand right now. And the betting odds have Penn State in the top 5. Most of them have Penn State tied for 4th with Oregon or just 5th, just slightly behind. But Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, Oregon, and Penn State are pretty much the consensus top 5 teams going into next year. And Penn State, while I think the Nittany Lions are going all in on trying to win the national title next year, again, 4th or 5th is where they're being projected nationally. So it is going to be interesting to see what that receivers room looks like, because it does feel like everything else is in place. And I really think if they can get a clear-cut dynamic number one, that alone, I think, propels Penn State probably into a top 3 projection nationally. And if they can get a couple of guys, a clear number one and another guy to go with the 2 transfers they have coming in.
And they work.
Yes. Yes.
With this time last year, we were talking about.
Well, I'm talking about the projections. Yeah. I'm talking about the anticipation then. I think, yes, then it all has to work.
Yep.
And listen, there's no guarantee, even with the talent coming back. Now, do I think this will work? Yes. But, I go back probably too often, but that 79 Penn State team should have been one of the all-time great teams. They had a ton of guys back from the 78 team that, if the officials see the goal line right, probably it's coming off a national title season. And, the Matt Millen saga over the summer with Joe, it did not go well. So there's not a guarantee. Hey, they got a lot of talent coming back.
Correct.
Yep. Now, do I think it's going to work? Yes, in large part because of James Franklin. And again, the culture he's built, the accountability with these guys, all of that. But just fair to point out that there's never a guarantee that just because you have a lot of talent coming back, therefore it's guaranteed success. However, you're going to define success now for next season. And listen, when you look at the preseason rankings and the projections and all of that, Penn State's 3rd in the Big Ten again. Oregon and Ohio State are projected to be a little bit better next year than Penn State.
Too.
And Michigan's got the dynamic quarterback now. And they're not being projected ahead of Penn State, but yes, a very dangerous team in the conference.
We could be sitting here and saying, not just us, any team in this land, can go. And I don't know if you can read about the Wisconsin and Miami argument of tampering with their players on transfers, but how you not get a hold of one of the Ohio State receivers and say, hey, we got $6 million for you next year. If that's what's separating us, why would we not to do something? But I know it's illegal to do that. They have to say that they're in the portal and then they can be contacted. We all know. We're not stupid. Come on, these guys.
Speak for yourself. I'm a little slow.
Penn State's teams who are saying, "Hey, I talked to my buddy at Ohio State, and he said a number." That's crazy to think about it. That could actually happen. That's what I need fixed.
Yeah,
the tampering stuff really, really needs fixed. If this is going to make a run, if we're going to make a run at it, not just Penn State, but college football in general, if they're going to keep this portal open, I think that there's some new rules that have to be set, some precedents and stuff like that. Because there is, even in high school, there's tampering now. Hey, why don't you come play for us? It's private school and stuff like that. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. But why can't you sit there and, is it legal? It is illegal, but that there are teams who are looking at, and getting a hold of one of those Ohio State receivers and saying, listen, you're a true number one here. You're one of 3 or 4 out there. And think about this. My wife said to me last night, he said, wasn't Marvin Harrison on the team last year? And I was like, yeah. So imagine how good they would have been. Just think about what they replaced with how good they were in that room. And they just replaced one of the top receivers in the NFL. It's just mind-boggling the talent they have at that wide receiver position out there. And, how they're going to keep the, what the heck's his name, the coach, wide receivers coach. He was the Colts guy for a while.
Yeah.
Man, I'm drawing a blank on his name. That's what I do, though.
I think when you look at the way, I do think Pat Kraft is going to go all in as well. Whatever exactly that means. I don't know how much money we're talking about that's going to be thrown out there or whatever, but I do think Penn State sees the window of opportunity. I know James Franklin sees it, and it's like, man, we at least have to do everything we can. Now, again, there's no guarantee. There are so many things that have to go right for you to win a championship in any sport, but at the highest level of sports, where, again, there are other programs, other coaches who are also completely committed to trying to win a title next year. I mean, I'm talking about Penn State, and, man, they see this window. If you don't think Oregon is doing, I mean, everything it can and then some. Like, I think Ohio State's still going to be all in. They're going to be all in every year. But I don't know that there's not going to be quite the sense of urgency there. Oregon has a tremendous sense of urgency. Texas and Sarkisian, they feel a tremendous sense of urgency. And Penn State feels a tremendous sense of urgency right now. Like, man, we need to cash in. Like, this feels like the opportunity, and if we can do it, it gets us into that next level. And again, I think Penn State clearly took another step up on the ladder. But if they can get to that title game or win the title next year, certainly if they win the title, then it just puts you in another atmosphere in terms of, all right, now when you're going to recruits or, potential transfers, you see now, I mean, obviously, this is a place you can win at the highest levels because we just did it. Well, it's different being able to say that than you could be the guy to get us over the hump, which is the selling point, I think, right now with receivers in particular going into next season.
Yeah, I think that having a home playoff game was a huge thing because a lot of people in this country saw Penn State play in a really, really cool atmosphere. And I think there's some people out there who be like, you know what, I want to be part of that. They really do. I mean, whether cold or no cold, I mean, it's just like the environment that was there, that it was like, wow, it's, 14 degrees out and there's 110,000 freaking people in that stadium. They love their team. I want to go play for a team like that. So, the playoff helped us out a lot in that way. Again, I do not want to be, there are just so many different facets of stuff going on right now. The profit sharing starting next year, I believe, right? That's going to come into play. Does the NIL come and go away? How are they doing that? I mean, how tampering, the transfer portal. I mean, we got to make rules in the transfer portal. My rule. I think any guy can transfer one time. Listen, I made a mistake. I'm telling you, Quinn Ewers, when he went to Ohio State, and he went there for a lot of money. I get it. $1.4 million. But the kid was homesick and wanted to go back to Texas. Okay, that happens, man. That truly, truly does happen. You leave Texas for Ohio. That is a big culture change right there. So there are people who feel that, but okay, so he made a mistake. So I'm okay with the one. And the other time I'll give you a second one is if there's a coaching change. But you get one, and then if you want to do it again, you're sitting out a year. Go back to the rules that when I played. I mean, is there some kind of rule against that now again? Like not letting them play or something like that, but there should be a punishment for transferring more than once. It's just too easy for these guys to jump around from team to team. I don't appreciate it. We're not helping these kids out in my opinion, because I have always said, and there are people who tell me this, and that is, are we doing these kids favors at 18 to 22 years old, giving them hundreds of thousands of dollars? Some of them are getting millions of dollars. Was what my buddy said to me. He goes, "What percentage more?" Because of the NIL, what percentage more football players are going to the NFL? There's no more. The percents aren't higher because they're getting paid in college. That they have a better chance of going. You have the same exact chance of going to the NFL as you did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And are we fooling these kids with saying, hey, this is how easy it is? You're going to get $150,000 every day, every month, every year, the rest of your life. No, they're going to go out. They're going to be like me, get hurt, and then you're going to have to join the real freaking world. And you're going to be sitting there saying, okay, well, what do you mean I don't have a job for $150,000? They don't just grow on trees. Are we helping these kids out by giving these kids that kind of money at that young of an age with really nothing, not really proving or having that worth earning it type of thing? And then if you don't make the NFL, it's a tough transition. I mean, we talked to Tangwell. Tangwell was on scholarship throughout this whole year. And there were definitely some scholarship perks and stuff like that he no longer has.
Yeah.
And he is realizing, like, holy crap, this is the real world, man. I don't have that excess scholarship money. I don't have this. I don't have that coming in. I don't have an NIL deal. So now, I mean, not just to call him out, but, say there's a lot of guys. Guys, I'm telling you, the same amount of percentage of football players are going to the NFL as they were 10 years ago. That's not improved because of the NIL.
Yep.
The money for playing in college football has improved, but are we helping these kids out in the long run with giving this much money at a younger age? We're fooling them a little bit.
Yes. The thing that I'm still most curious about, and there's a lot of things that I'm curious about, but I am still really interested to see how this collective bargaining arrangement is set up. That's still
your question.
Yes.
Who they bargain with?
Yes.
Yeah.
And who represents the players, and what kind of a system is it? Meaning, is it collective bargaining for all football players, Division I football players, or is it collective bargaining for Big Ten football players and collective bargaining separately for the SEC and collective? And even within that, I am hearing a lot of discussion and rumors about how the agreed upon by the conferences $22 million per school is going to be distributed. Again, that number, that sounds good to all of them. We have not heard from the student athletes, football or otherwise, on that's going to work. Everybody keeps presuming that that's going to be the case because that's what these guys want to. That's what they think would be fair, and they're willing to shell out. And maybe it ends up that way, but I'm just maybe that ends up being, well, no, you're not going to have these kids going out there with the collective bargaining. And Goon, have you even thought, because it actually just hit me, we've talked about this collective bargaining, and I think pretty much everybody that is following this believes there has to be some sort of collective bargaining coming. What happens if, however this is set up, the collective bargaining side on the players says, nope, we can't come to an agreement? I mean, we could have theoretically a strike in college football. And what would that do? I don't know. I mean, I think we're going to hear hue and cry if that ever happens, that, well, that's the end of college football as we know it. We were told before this year, this is the end of college football. It's not going to be the end of college football. I mean, as we know it, maybe, but the same thing happened when the NFL went on strike. It's like, all right, well, there's a group of fans that won't come back. Now, I mean, there might have been a handful, but they came back, and there are a bunch of others that, if they didn't all come back, they got them elsewhere, and they're fine. I don't know. I don't know that would or wouldn't be the same with college football. Hopefully, we never find out. But again, there are so many moving parts still, to go to your point with the head coaches and the ADs, where they're trying to plan their future, not having any idea what the parameters are for the rules that they're supposed to be playing by. And one of the things is how that $22 million gets divvied up. And again, I think Penn State is talking. Well, I know Penn State is at least talking internally differently than Ohio State is talking internally, and certainly differently than what we're hearing, at least like Georgia and Alabama are talking, in terms of, does all of that money go to football? Does certain percentage go to football, percentage go to basketball, the rest? And even when you do that, it's like, all right, well, this would be fair. Well, let's do 1% here or 1% there. 1% on a baseball team with, I don't even know what it is, 40 scholarships now, 35 scholarships, 40 scholarships. Well, that's not the same as, say, 1% on a rowing team, which might have 10 scholarships, and making up the numbers. I don't know what the numbers are for some of these sports, but meaning that if you just do it by percentage, you could have less popular sports with virtually no interest. I'm not trying to pick on fencers here, but fencing is probably it's at least among the least attended sports at Penn State. Again, I don't know how many fencers with the new scholarship, but let's just say it's 20. If you have 20 fencers and 30 wrestlers, and you look at what wrestling's bringing in, again, you're not going to be giving the fencers per person more than you're giving the wrestlers. And like at Connecticut, they're not going to be giving the rowing team more than the women's basketball team, which, other than the men's basketball team, is the signature program for your university. And so on and so. I mean, you can do it with a bunch of different sports at a bunch of different places. So there's going to be some maneuvering around that. But again, some of these schools are supporting 14 or 16 varsity sports. Others are supporting 32, in some cases 35 or 36. Well, again, if you're expecting to be competitive at the highest levels in football and basketball, you're not spreading that money around if you have the 36 programs. Well, how many of those programs can find resources? And this is happening. And this is happening now behind the scenes at a bunch of places where it's like, hey, we want to keep you as a varsity program. You, the coach, or whoever's running the program, coaches in almost all cases, if not all, you got to find X amount of revenue stream. Of money coming in so that your program is, to some degree, self-sustaining, because we don't have the money now. The money is going over here. It's going to these programs that we think are more high profile, and certainly to football and basketball, because those are the ones that are generating the revenue for our department.
I would just want to know what the real numbers are of what people are making it there. Like, $22 million, just throw that number out there. I mean, it was it was just off of the number from the 2.2 billion, I believe. I think that's where the number came from.
Yes.
Okay, but it's just a very odd number. But like everybody was just like, oh, okay, that's fine. How much money are these teams making? I mean, that's what it makes me think sometimes that the NFL, and not the NFL, but professional sports, when they start talking about giving money and sharing money and doing this, how much money are they really making? I mean, we're a public university, right? So everything we've made is out in the public, right? I mean, how much is $22 million going to hurt us as a athletic department?
Well, I mean, if everybody else is when you say hurt us, what do you mean?
Athletic department wise, when we have, obviously football funds the athletic program. Yeah. Now you're taking $22 million more out of that to pay the athletes. I mean, is our athletic department going to suffer? I.e., are we going to start chopping sports? That's the ultimate fear of this stuff. And that is that, you're saying in the SEC, okay, Alabama has 14 to 19. I don't even know what the number is. We have 30 plus. Ohio State has more than us. Michigan has just as many. That is a whole lot of people to fund scholarship-wise. And now you're giving 30 scholarships to wrestling. You know what I mean?
They can have up to,
okay,
yes.
You can have.
But which is another thing, is how many there's, again, so many moving parts, because I just don't think we know yet really how all of this is going to impact we don't know how it's going to impact football and basketball completely yet, but I mean, we really don't know what the end result here is going to be when it comes to the non-revenue or Olympic sports, whatever term you want to use, the non-football and basketball sports at these bigger institutions. And again, I think some, right, you're going to be able to find, hey, man, we have a a great big-time donor that graduated from our lacrosse program, and he's going to make sure we have X amount of scholarships funded, or the stadium that we need, or whatever it is. But not all programs are going to have that. And the thing I keep trying to point out is it's great if Iowa, Oklahoma State, and Penn State go all in on wrestling. If they're the only three that are left, that doesn't cut it. You need, like, men's gymnastics is surviving right now because while it's a small number, and I'm not even sure what the exact number is, 20-ish schools, those schools, though, are all in at the moment on men's gymnastics. But, I think once you get down below 20, you start getting in some dangerous territory here because, again, you need competition. Like, that's why there's revenue sharing in most of the leagues now, because there's a recognition that, we want to be the best, but we need the other competition. I think you need about 20 to make it a worthwhile venture from a competitive standpoint to keep the sport going at a quote-unquote big-time Division I level. We'll take a break here. Talk some NFL playoffs when we come back. It is the Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube on WFXS Pleasant Gap State College.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXS, Hunting Gas.
Your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College. The Goon and Ironhead.
And we welcome you back here on this Tuesday afternoon as the Buckeyes are celebrating a national championship. The Philadelphia Eagles are getting ready for an NFC championship game in Philadelphia against the Washington Commanders, who, of course, upset the Detroit Lions and upset in every sense of the word. Lions fans were very upset following that contest this weekend. And then, please, Buffalo Bills, get it done. Come on. The Bills and the Chiefs, again, I feel like we've seen this movie. I really want to see a different ending this time around.
I didn't realize until, I believe, yesterday, or maybe even today, the heartbreaking losses that the Baltimore Ravens have had over the last few years.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I forgot about the fumble on the goal line. And then, obviously, Mark Andrews probably going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, probably.
To not make that catch he makes that catch 98, maybe even 99.
And to have also fumbled the ball.
And fumbled
it is amazing that he is the one that kind of had the two plays that probably Ravens fans are most pointing to that they'd like to have back.
That was an unbelievable game. It was, but I got to go back to this Patrick Mahomes darling of the NFL thing. It's got to end, man. That is just
it's
insane,
a little much.
Dude. It's too much. And then you watch in the same freaking day Jared Goff get absolutely tattooed on an interception return that if that was Patrick Mahomes, I think that guy would have been kicked out of the game. And they didn't call a penalty.
So I was actually driving when I heard the Mahomes where the two Texans collide. I'm listening to it on the radio, and both radio broadcasters, the play-by-play and the color guy, as they're looking, they're like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I was
and part of it was, and this is the other thing, and I don't know exactly what the answer is here, but the NFL has to figure something different out here, which is, and we've seen this a few times where, and it's not just Mahomes, but you have Mahomes or another quarterback out there, and they'll kind of like fake a slide, like start to duck, and then they go.
Yeah.
Well, you are teaching the players, man, don't touch the quarterback, don't touch the quarterback. And then what drives me crazy is then sometimes you'll hear whoever's commentating, oh, can you believe it? What a move by Patrick Mahomes. Like, well, yeah, I can believe it. If the defender is afraid to death that he's going to get flagged.
Kenny Pickett at Pitt move. Remember that?
Yes,
That's
I do.
Exactly the first time that I saw it, where he faked the slide and then continues to run for a 50-yard touchdown. I'm like, oh, a great play by Kenny Pickett. But then, yeah, you cannot blame the I would not want to play defense in the NFL
It
right
is
now.
really hard.
I mean,
it is really hard.
The one play when he went out of bounds, and the other guy, Josh Allen, does it too. He does a lot of flopping trying to get those calls. And it's like, dude, this is an issue
why wouldn't
for
you? Why wouldn't you try to get the free 15 yards?
But then you got Lamar Jackson. He goes up there. He gets wailed on because he's a running quarterback. What is Mahomes? When he ran out of bounds and the guy just touched him, and he like falls and flops around, and they did not call it.
Yes.
Thank God.
Yes.
But I mean, something needs to be done where they, what did hockey do? Embellishing, diving.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Matching penalties.
No.
Hey, if that's what's gonna okay, yeah. What they did was not right. It was wrong. But you know what? Too much of a sell. You got. We're getting into soccer territory right now. LeBron James playing football out here, but that game, watching Mahomes, and it just drives you absolutely crazy because every time they got to show Taylor Swift in the crowd, and they have a new darling now. Her new Caitlin Clark's her best buddy now, so they're up there going nuts. it's just going to be too much. And, the NFL is just sitting there drooling because of all the people watching the game just to see Taylor Swift. So their numbers are skyrocketing, so they love it. They absolutely love it. But then you watch Jared Goff get hit on an interception return, under the chin, head tucked into his chest. Oh, that would be unnecessary roughness. That guy probably wouldn't have kicked out of the game if he had hit Mahomes like that.
Yeah.
And you got to give it to Goff for he went into the tent, and he came back and he finished, man.
Yep.
My heart, honest to God, I felt bad. I felt really bad for Detroit, honest to God, because I was like, they've had a great season.
I'm with you.
I really like Dan Campbell. I
yes.
like Dan Campbell a lot. I like Jared Goff a lot. I love their receiving core. I love their running back. I love their offensive line. I mean, their defense is really good. The DC is his name's skipping my head right now. Aaron Glenn, I think that's who it is. Aaron Glenn. The DC, he has been, but they lost their OC today to the Bears, by the way.
Yeah.
But that game was heartbreaking because just what Detroit's been through. Now, I have somebody who said this to me. I said Philadelphia fans are just like the Browns and the Buffalo Bills and Detroit. They really have had nothing, but they've not been to Super Bowls before. They've never won a Super Bowl, but their fans are still there. And my one buddy said, give me 10 years ago, nobody was going to Detroit Lions games. You know what? That's why I love about the Bills and the Browns. Their fans they still sell the stadiums out, even though they're not been in the Super Bowls. You know what I mean? And I turned on Detroit a little bit because he was like, no, they didn't show up there 10, 15 years ago.
So now you're going to bring up another sore point of me because why would you?
Why would you go to a game when they're 0-16?
Yes.
I'm with you.
Why would you support an organization that is making no commitment to winning? Like, if the organization, again, the comparison I make, we and I've done it too. I mean,
Browns fans and Bills fans. I mean, they've had horrible years, and they've always sold out.
The Cubs fans for decades. Yep. You're rewarding. The ownership is laughing. It's just like the Pirates
are coming out of you right there.
Well, but it is. It's you're rewarding.
Go to the game. You put a bag on your head.
The whole bandwagon thing. It's like, well, yeah. If you have a restaurant in town, right, and you go there and it's like, man, this is not really good food, and this service isn't really good. Yep. But man, I'm going to show what type of a fan I am, what type of a customer I am.
Prices, I'm still going to go.
I'm going to keep going until because someday they're going to serve good food. Well, why would you not wait until you start hearing from other people? Hey, man, have you checked out that place recently? Like, it is funny. Like, I can't think of any other business that we do that in where those consumers aren't real customers. They don't go to that restaurant when it's serving crappy food and has bad service. Well, right. Why would you do that? Well, you're not real fans if you're not going when your team stinks.
They're working.
Well, no, I'm a discerning fan. I can understand the difference between getting value for my dollar and not. And yeah, if I'm not getting value for my dollar, that just always amuses me. It's like, man, give Cleveland fans credit. They really support mediocrity.
I'll give them credit, man. I do, but I will give them credit for that. They do support their teams through thick and thin, and it's been a lot more thin than thick.
And therefore, the incentive for the ownership to improve that situation is what?
Listen,
there
you're a
is
Buccos
none.
fan. I get it.
There is none.
You're going to be a Kansas City Chiefs. You're going to be a Kansas City Penguins fan.
You are encouraging. You are encouraging the mediocrity. Isn't even the right term for the Browns.
Getting 4 Super Bowls in your youth and me not getting them. So you got spoiled. Obviously, you got spoiled.
Can you? I mean, really though, is there any other business? Is there any other business where we're like, well, you're not a real customer if you don't go there when the service sucks and the business isn't operating efficiently?
I guess the Bills have changed their ways a little bit, a lot with Pagula. You know, he's put a lot of money into that and stuff like that. But I'm just saying that there's a crazy fan bases and they're a great fan base. I put Detroit there, but then my one buddy talked me out of it. So watching that game Saturday night, and I had said this earlier in the year when I've watching Jaden Daniels play, and I have told people for the last we'll say 2 months, this dude's going to be a problem in the NFC East.
Yep.
He is absolutely going to be a freaking problem in the NFC East. He is a cold-blooded mofo, man. He really is. He was not rattled the other night. It was
At all.
Not a high. It was never got too high, never got too low, never got too crazy.
Yeah.
At the moment was not big enough for him, not too big that he couldn't handle it. And I'm scared for this Sunday. I am not going to lie because, obviously the Eagles defense and their offensive line and their run game can take the game, but Jaden Daniels, you got to watch out for that cat. He is really, really, really good. He may not have all of the weapons around him right now, but he's got some pretty damn good ones right now.
Yeah.
And if the Eagles don't have their poop together, it's going to be a very, very long offseason losing to an in-division rival.
Yep, no doubt. There's, and the thing is, the Commanders are playing with house money, right? And you can play loose and free, and I think it's tougher. I'm not saying the Eagles could go out and play that way, obviously, but I think they feel a little bit more of the weight of expectations. It feels for the Commanders, and this can be dangerous too, where it's all right, well, man, it's great if we get there this year, but if not, we'll be back soon. Maybe. I mean, I like their chances, but man, we've seen that happen a lot where there's a team and it's they get on the brink, and you're like, oh man, look out, they're going to be there for the next few years, and then nope, that was actually the last time.
Cam Newton.
Yeah. I mean, there's a long list. You go back over the years. First of all, it is hard. I know because of Brady and Mahomes now, we think it's well, yeah, no, if you got a great quarterback and a great team, you just go back. Those are the exceptions, man. It is hard to get to a conference championship game. It is really hard to get to a Super Bowl, and obviously there's a reason nobody's won 3 straight. And I do think the Chiefs have a shot. They just don't turn the ball over. The Lions, the reason I felt for them, right, is they didn't give themselves a chance because of the turnovers. I mean, really. And everybody, we talk about turnovers all the time. This isn't a team that was prone to turnovers during the season. Jared Goff is not known as a turnover machine. It just, man, it was one of those days. Man, awful time to have it. And you see this in playoff football in particular. It's man, a team or you see it in college football too, where it's yeah, this team has 2 turnovers in the last 8 weeks, and then boom, 3 turnovers or 4 turnovers tonight.
Justin Herbert, opening round.
It is a difference maker.
Threw 3 picks the whole season. He threw 4
every time.
Houston the week before.
And the Chiefs just
you're right. They don't shoot themselves in the foot. How's that?
Seemingly ever.
Because I was waiting going back to the Ohio State game. That Ohio State-Texas game, Ohio State could not get out of their own way. They were shooting themselves in the foot a lot.
Yeah.
And that was the thing last night. If they could avoid those, there was no chance of Notre Dame beating them. None whatsoever. And then late in the second half, and they had fumbled that ball.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It gave Notre Dame all kinds of momentum. They were within 15 points. They could have scored a touchdown, got it down. I don't know why they went for the field goal, which they missed. I do not know why they went for that. That would have put them down 12. What was the point of that? 13? Excuse me. I don't understand what they were doing there.
Yeah.
But I saw the momentum slipping there, and I said, Kerry, I said, look at this. This is exactly what Notre Dame could not. They needed. They needed Ohio State to shoot themselves in the foot. So the week before against Texas, Henderson with the stupid punch of a player after a play got a 15-yard penalty. Lo and behold, it's 4th down and 9. They would have had a first down had they not gotten a penalty. A lot of that stuff. But Mahomes and the Chiefs they just don't do it. And it's just, again, I know I'm not going to sit here and say the referees are the darlings, but it just does drive you crazy how anytime there's an incomplete pass with the Chiefs to throw an incomplete pass on a third down, everybody is complaining that there was holding, there was pass interference, the quarterback got hit, there was a late hit on the court, all that stuff. Every time they're whining and complaining. And it just drives you absolutely crazy. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to go out on a limb right now and saying the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. Sorry. Just figured I'd say that.
Yeah.
Because I just think that the Chiefs are not what they are right now, and nor are the Bills. I think the Bills have had better teams right now. I do believe the Bills are going to go to the Super Bowl. I think the Bills are going to upset the Chiefs this week.
I really do, too. But I've thought this before. And part of it is, I will admit, that this one I am partially voting with my heart. Like, I do think Buffalo has a real shot. But I just want them so badly to win this game for McDermott. Yes, for that fan base. The whole bit. For Josh Allen, everybody. I would like the Bills to at least get over that hump. Can we just talk a little bit about Saquon Barkley and what a difference. Again, when we talk about the situations with quarterbacks and coaches, and again, it's getting in the right environment. It's having the right support structure in place. It's a bunch of things that play into it. But it's the same thing with running backs. I mean, Saquon Barkley didn't just become a better runner this year. In fact, he probably was a better runner last season or even 2 years ago in terms of just the overall speed. Now, he might maybe know a little bit more about the timing of things. But when you look at what he is doing behind that offensive line, and make no mistake, I mean, he is a phenomenal running back. He also is running behind, I would argue, the best offensive line in the NFL right now. That is a heck of a combination. But what Saquon has is that home run ability. You give him that seam, he's not just getting the 10 or 15 yards.
He's going that in the NFL.
Not anymore.
Yeah, you see Derrick Henry do it, and you see Saquon do it, and what's crazy is that they're two of the bigger backs in the league.
Yeah.
They're just studs, dude.
Yes.
Just absolute studs. Saquon could not be happier for a guy like that.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm not going to say he grew up an Eagles fan, but he's from the Allentown area. So, I mean, you're sort of torn between the Giants and the Eagles in that situation. But, I mean, there's a Penn State guy who was absolutely beloved in Philadelphia already in 1 year. Like, give me another guy whose career trajectory has changed in 1 year by changing teams. I've been thinking about it. I really they were just, stagnant where they were.
Yeah.
And then they got traded, and they were literally, they're exactly what we thought we were going to get in the draft. And then look at what happens. Boom, look at that. You put players around them with the offensive line. And the other thing that scares me about the Eagles is that, Lane Johnson's long in the tooth, man. I don't know if he has another year or two left in him. You got to replace him. Dallas Goedert's going to be gone here very soon, in my opinion. So it's this is that little time right now, that little window for the Birds. Again, but I do wish it is the Bills, and I Birds and Eagles, because obviously with coming from my high school, I can't lose that game. You know what I mean? It's either the Eagles.
That's a nice spot to
be. I'm happy as heck the Eagles win. They don't win. Wow, Sean McDermott won a Super Bowl. LaSalle High grad. God bless him. Good person. You know him from the wrestling thing, in the wrestling world, all of that. So really can't go wrong with those two going to the Super Bowl. And you won't be here Thursday again.
I'm with you. Correct. Yeah,
so we're going to have to get you predicting on Tuesday again, Ironhead.
Yeah.
Who was your projections last week?
I picked all the winners again.
Sure, that's what you did. Yep. You guaranteed it.
Yep. Had Ohio State, gave the points. Just right across the board. Had the Penguins winning. I think I gave 3 goals against the Kings last night.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. Just right on track, Goon. It's the way I do. I think I did have the Eagle. I would have had the line. I don't know. I don't remember if I gave specific picks.
I put the Chiefs on upset alert.
I did not think that.
I thought Houston was going to come out and ball, and they did. But,
they did.
They were going against some superior forces in the black and white striped shirts, in my opinion. I did see the Detroit thing coming up a little bit because, again, I believe I did say that Jaden Daniels scared the living daylights out of me. So he's going to scare the living daylights out of Detroit. But I thought that week off would have helped them. It looked like it hurt them. They looked a little sluggish.
They did. I don't know. I don't know how you go about making that. I don't think it affects all teams the same. It depends on your injuries situation. Age. It depends on how veteran your team is. We've talked about. I just think that those off weeks, even a bye week, they can disrupt the timing of an offense. It seems much more readily.
Well, we already talked about the college football playoffs. All four of the teams in the bye lost.
Yeah. Do you? That being said, I don't know of an NFL coach. It's like, man, I really wish we were playing opening weekend
because I want to keep playing every week.
Because you get the week off and then you get the home game, and in theory that should be a pretty significant advantage. And again, I don't know that it was necessarily the week off. Again, 5 turnovers. Maybe that's the week off contributed to that with the timing and everything. I don't know. I think it's a difficult thing to manage when you're on a roll and then you have that off week. I think even in some ways, even more so in baseball sometimes, Goon. Like if you are a hot hitting team, like I don't know that you want those days off.
All-Star break
where it's like, all right, because you just can't. You can't replicate that stuff in practice, batting practice or football practice. It's just not the same as keeping in the rhythm of a game week and seeing the different teams and making the adjustments as you go along, that sort of thing. Have somebody asking, can the audience call in? Do you allow other topics, or how does it work in your program? We don't have the ability to take call-ins. You can just write in the comments as you did here to ask this question. And certainly you can bring up hey, what's your take on this or that? We're certainly happy to consider all questions. Not guaranteed that if you ask something, you're getting an answer, but pretty good chance. I'd say 99% of the time we'll give you our thoughts on just about any question.
We're not opinionated people, though. That's the thing.
We're working on it. We're getting better at it.
We're very introverted people, so by nature.
Yeah.
And quiet.
Listen, I want the Eagles and the Bills, and I really think it will be the Eagles and the Bills at the end of the day. I know, Goon.
No.
Here's the thing. Like, with Buffalo, it's interesting because this Buffalo kind of feels like Notre Dame to me, where this is not a season that has exactly gone where everything, man, is just breaking right, and it feels like it's just a team of destiny because they're staying healthy, the schedule lined up, right? It's like they just keep overcoming and battling, but I think there's something to be said for that when you get to this stage of the season. And I think that the history they have with the Chiefs here, I think it can benefit them. Now, the one thing about that is the Chiefs know, like, zero questions asked. They know they can beat the Bills. They've done it every time in the postseason that they've met. The Bills don't have that knowledge that, hey, of course we can. We've done it before. They haven't. And they've had the chip on their shoulder before, so maybe I'm putting too much into it. This just feels a little different. And I think Buffalo's actually had better teams that have gone against the Chiefs than the one they're putting out on the field. Again, injuries and everything factored in. But I also don't think this is the best Chiefs team that Andy Reid has had out there.
I couldn't agree with that. They're long in the tooth, and they are a little shorter wide receiver.
And I will admit, this may be just me wanting this so badly. At some point, the Chiefs have to commit a couple of turnovers, right? Like, it just has to happen at some point. Maybe this is finally that time where it's like inexplicably Mahomes finally loses a ball, or the receiver tips it up in the air in the bit. Like, at some point, just the law of averages. They've gone, I think, is it 8 weeks now without turning the ball over? That's insane. Like in the NFL, well, in any division of football, again, it's a funny shaped football. Weird things happen. At some point, you get a bad break. They haven't had
good hit from behind, ball punched out.
It's amazing. So
weather, by the way, is an option, not an option in either place. Their projections are low 40s in Philly and in the 30s in Kansas City, and they're both clear to sunny, cloudy, and all that stuff. So it's not going to be a wet game or anything like that. So you're not going to have those weird drama. So last night's game, Ironhead, you just made up, like I said about the whole, you just need to make a play. Someone needs to make a play, or they always seem to find a way to ruin something. So how about them not stopping them on third down the whole first half, and then in the second half they finally get a stop, and the defensive end pushes the quarterback for a 15-yard late hit after. I mean, so blatantly stupid. That you're just like, what is going on here? And that's the stuff that you can't do against the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's the stuff you wish that they would do, but they do not do it. You need them to have a hold call across or a legal hands in the face or a legal chuck. So because they seem to get those calls all of the freaking time.
They do.
Yeah. I just know this. If the Eagles do play the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, there will be good footing. It will not be like last time when the Eagles could not get their foot feeding their cleats into the ground because of the bad turf.
Confident are you?
Oh, no. It won't be as bad.
All right.
It won't be as bad.
Probably can't be as bad. That's fair. All right.
I do have another one. So I'm sorry.
Yep.
Nick Allegretti from Illinois. We had played against him. So I know him from my buddy Kehoe. He's been in the league 6 years. He's now a Washington Commodore. He's going to every year he's played in the conference title game as an offensive guard.
There you go.
That's unbelievable, dude.
That's living a good life.
That's living a good life. Free money at the end of your contract that a free agent absolutely loves.
Not too shabby. We'll take a break here. You are listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube getting ready for the all-you-can-eat wing buffet, which gets underway at 4 o'clock here, and we are coming right back.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing and State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here at Quaker Steak and Lube on a Tuesday afternoon. Lots to get into here in the final half hour. First of all, good job by Mike Rhodes' Nittany Lions last night at the BJC. They get the 4-game losing streak gone and get a good win and had to make plays down the stretch. Did it. They needed that one desperately. Got it, and now hopefully onward and upward.
To a team they lost to earlier this year.
Yeah, the injury situation has been tough, and now with Puff Johnson out, it does change just kind of the feel around the program. Changes the bench play, obviously, that any Lions have available. But I thought that was a really good. Gutsy win at home. And again,
speaking of injuries,
desperate.
Ace playing through the back spasms.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if anybody has ever, listen, I've had a lifelong career of bad back, by spinal fusion, all of that. I mean, dude, that's debilitating. And he is really, really tough. And it's not been a 1 or 2 games. He's going back 3 or 4 or 5 games with this stuff. So, and he missed a game, I think, earlier with them. So, those things are no joke. So, again, sorry, not to jump on you, but just an unbelievably showing some toughness right there, bub.
And they need him. They absolutely need him right now. Not just out on the floor, but playing well, and he certainly did that last night. Penn State Wrestling getting the win at Nebraska last Friday. I won't be here Thursday because the Nittany Lions travel to Rutgers, and we'll take on the Scarlet Knights on Friday night. I think I actually forgot to look here at the Intermat rankings and see where Luke Lillidahl rose to. I had a few folks ask me, Penn State actually lost 2 bows. I was like, hey, what's going on here? Nebraska's got a very good team. I think Shane Van Ness is going to be just fine. Ridge Levitt, first of all, is an outstanding wrestler. Now, did I think Shane Van Ness going into that was going to win it? Yes, because I did not think Shane Van Ness was going to lose, period, this season. But listen, Levitt is there's probably 3 or 4 legit title contenders in my mind, and Levitt and Van Ness are 2 of them. Caleb Henson, the reigning champ, is obviously another. I think Van Ness will make some adjustments, just technically, tactically. I will say Lovett's ability on top is amazing. He is really good. He knows how to use his length to his advantage, and that is going to be a tough out for Van Ness, Henson, anybody out there when the NCAA tournament rolls around, and even, for Van Ness at the Big Ten championships. But I think, it's one of those bouts where the margin of victory is not indicative of how close those two wrestlers really are. And again, Van Ness on another day might win major decision. I think most times when those guys meet, it's going to be a 2 or 3 point bout, one way or the other. And better to have that loss at this stage of the season, get that feel at this stage of the season, than to get it for the first time when March rolls around. So I think that's going to be fine. And listen, Jacob Van D is a really dangerous wrestler who beat Braden Davis. He has not been the most consistent wrestler, and that's why he was ranked as low as he is. If when he puts it together, again, he is about as good as anybody at 133. And I think Braden Davis, again, same thing. We'll learn from it. I think there's just a couple of situations he got himself in that he wasn't sure how to handle it. I think if and when they meet again, he'll know how to handle it, which doesn't guarantee that he'll win next time. But I think there'll be some different strategies, some technical things that'll be cleaned up next time around. There was a really good win for Luke Lillidahl, and he is up to number 6 in the Intermat rankings now this week. Yeah, yes. After his win over Caleb Smith, who slips a spot to number 7. Smith, the 6th-year senior and returning All-American for Nebraska. So that was obviously a very good win for Luke Lillidahl.
Yep.
Regardless, win or lose, another one where just getting that feel from that caliber wrestler at this stage of the season for all of those guys, Nebraska and Penn State guys, it's going to pay dividends down the road for them when the postseason rolls around.
How's Nebraska's crowd? I mean,
it was
world
fantastic.
Renowned for the football program. They say how really polite the fans are and stuff like that. And I have always thought that Iowa fans were like that too, until you start beating them.
No, they were into it. It was a great crowd. It really was. It was by about almost 1,000, the largest wrestling crowd they've ever had, beating the 2,000 crowd that Penn State drew last time the Nittany Lions were out there. But a little short of 7,000. I think it was 6,800 or 67 plus.
Okay.
Anyway,
so it's a rec hall type of.
Yeah, so that Bob Devaney Sports Center, I think, is one of the neatest venues in wrestling. And it's neat when you get a crowd like that. I mean, if you could get a capacity crowd there, it would be phenomenal. But it's the layout is a little nicer than rec halls. It's more around, but they're kind of on top of you the way they are at rec hall. Yeah. I think it's a neat facility. I think for like volleyball, the seating I believe is 8,600-ish, 80. It's either 84 or 86 ish, but in that neighborhood, that feels like. It's one of those things where, like Penn State going the way it is now, yes, like an 8,500 seat venue feels like it would be perfect. Like somewhere in that 8-9, you could get a few thousand more fans. I think consistently attending meets, keep the sellout going. I don't know that you want to get much bigger than that, either from a sellout perspective or just the atmosphere. Like that feels like about the right size if you could get it now. The issue is if you're not fielding a title contending team or having a facility that's that big, half filled, now feels a little more empty than, like 4,000 at Rec Hall still feels like a really good crowd. So you get into how confident are you're going to be where you're at for a long period of time. But I do love that facility, and their fans they were into it. It was a fun atmosphere.
Carver Hawkeye is BJC type size place, or no? I'm going to ask you. I need you. I'm going to say that. I mean, I would probably insinuate that Iowa is probably the toughest place to wrestle. Well, that's what I'm going to ask you. So, give them to me.
So it depends. Like that crowd, yes, because it is filled. And listen, I mean, it's the caliber of team too, right? So, like, maybe Northwestern would be the greatest place if they filled it all the time and they had the wrestlers that Iowa or, Ohio State recently have had. I love Carver Hawkeye. I really do.
How big is it?
It's Jordan Center.
Yeah, they play basketball, but they don't have a smaller place like we go to the BJC or go to.
No, they wrestle at Carver Hawkeye. Excellent. Now they have. Not gonna lie, part of why I like their arena is the soft serve ice cream. That is winner ice cream dinner. I mean, come on.
Ask me and all my teammates. We say the best road trip was Iowa because of the food.
Yep.
They knew how to feed it. They know how to feed them corn-fed boys down there. So
they do indeed.
Yes, that was literally, honest to God. You talk to anybody who played at Penn State football, that was always our favorite road trip because they fed us so well. So that's funny you say that. You're allowed to have soft serve? Your coach would allow you to have a dessert? My God.
Alan chiming in, well, as a broadcaster, yes. Alan chimes in, do you think the Big Ten should divide the college football playoff payout differently with the teams who make it and then continue to advance?
I think we take our expenses out first.
Yeah, the short answer is no, because and this is where, but could I see that happening? Yes, because again, Ohio State, Michigan, to a much lesser degree, Penn State, and then maybe Wisconsin, Iowa, now maybe USC and Oregon. If they put pressure on, it's like, hey, we want this. Now listen, I think the conference at least listens, but I don't think you want that, because I think you want, it's all relative here, but you want as fair of a competitive balance as you can implement. Now, we can argue how fair that really is and how much implementing you're doing. Listen, I do think we are heading in the very near future to the more regionalized. We're either going to have one super conference or two super conferences. I'm just convinced of this. And when I say soon, like within the next decade is my expectation.
We waited 50 years for the playoff. We waited 10 years.
And I won't be surprised if it happens sooner than that.
What I'm saying is I believe that Ohio State took the expenses of their team traveling down to Atlanta. The college football playoff took care of that, but there's overriding expenses. But I'm guaranteed that Ohio State took that out of their. They took that out before they kicked that money back to this to the Big Ten. So they're not going, if they say $15 million to each school that goes to that final, Notre Dame gets 15, but then Ohio State gets an 18th of $15 million. That's not true, because they're going to take their expenses out, and whatever's left over, they put that in there then.
Yeah, which makes sense.
People are like, oh, why would you join a conference? Because I'm telling you right now, if Notre Dame does not make the playoffs, they suffer. Yes, they made a hell of a payday this year, and it's going to fund a lot of stuff on their campus and a lot of athletics and stuff like that. But they need to keep that up. So they ain't been very that playoff caliber in a couple years, man. So I mean, they're not exactly big. I mean, they've declined bowls in the past because it's not worth their while to go.
Yes, and there are so many other, especially now these days, streams of revenue that these teams can tap into above and beyond the TV rights. When you the amount of money, and it's not just Penn State, obviously, but the on merchandise and licensing, just the rights, the selling of the licensing rights, and again, that whole world continues to evolve, change. There's different, there are the number of things that, like, if you are a Penn State diehard, right? Like, you and you know it if you are one, because you get hit. Hey, are you a real Penn State fan? Do you have a Penn State garbage can? Hey, are you a real Penn State fan? Do you have these Penn State chocolates? Hey, are you a real Penn State fan? Do you have... Right. I mean, right on down the line. It was funny. We were
I have a great story for you about that.
Like, there are fans, and I love them. I mean, I am this close to being one myself when it comes to the Steelers and my Pittsburgh teams. But like, you go into a bathroom and it's like wallpaper of the team, toilet seat of the team, toilet paper of the team. I mean, so all of that stuff, each of those, not anybody can go do that. You have to have the licensing rights. No, the short answer to the question is I don't think the Big Ten should divide the college football playoff payout any differently, nor do I think they should split the TV pool differently, even though, again, from Penn State's perspective, you could certainly make, well, hey, we're drawing in more. Ohio State would then turn around and say, well, yeah, but we're drawing even more.
Draw football and basketball.
Right. Yeah. And so, like, part of the conference is where you're trying to at least get a relatively equal slice of the pie, at least on that first serving.
Can I tell you one of my favorite stories about trademarking and all that stuff and streams of money?
Sure.
This guy came to my tailgate, friend of a friend. Check this out. Ohio State dipping mustard. It had the Ohio State brand on the logo and all that
stuff.
And it was salsa. And he's like, look at this. I don't see Penn State having this. I said, where's that made, bro? Because I can't see it. I said, here, look, where's it? Son of a State College, Pennsylvania.
Is that right?
Yeah, and he was so
just put the,
freaking
so
proud
funny
that he saw an Ohio State logo thing of dipping mustard, that he brought it to the tailgate and was like, hey, check it out, Ohio State mustard.
I love it.
What's up? What's Penn State got? I don't know. They paid a little bit of money, too, and they had the same thing, because here it goes. Where's that made at? It says, oh, come on. I said, come on. It's made a half a mile from here.
Too funny.
I thought that was so funny.
That's
I got a phone call this morning, and I said, congratulations. And I'm not upset with Ohio State winning. It is good for the conference. I know. It hurts. It hurts, but it's
I mean, what you're saying is right, but
who did you root for?
I didn't. We had a big conversation. The Mad Turtle and I, before the game kicked off, Mad Turtle's like, Dad, who are you rooting for? I said, I honestly, I don't know. Like, I know
a good game.
Like, the argument should be for Ohio State. I don't think I can do it. He's like, so you're rooting for Notre Dame? I'm like,
I can't do that either.
Like, I really like Marcus Freeman. I really do. But I really don't think I can do that. Like, it's just not in my DNA. I said, if there was a way both teams could lose, and he's like, wait, could that happen? I'm like, well, no, somebody has to win it and somebody will lose. He's like, well, what if they play 20 overtimes, then they'll. So we had that whole conversation. I'm like, well, I don't think it'll ever get to that, but yeah, theoretically they'll keep going until somebody at some point wins it. So
when I saw that fumble, I was like, yes, we're gonna get it, because I just wanted a good game. I didn't think it was a good game personally, because it was like such an Ohio State slant. I mean, zero third down stops from Notre Dame in the first half.
But again, when you're facing, like, I'm sure Notre Dame fans are like, man, our defense just didn't show up. When you have an offense that has the weapons that Ohio State does, if they are on, I mean, when you have a quarterback, if the quarterback is on, it really doesn't matter how good your secondary is, how good your defensive line is. If the offensive line is giving them the 3.5 seconds to get in the pocket and deliver the football, or 3 seconds, whatever it is, but if they're giving that and the quarterback is making the right read and delivers the ball, like you can't stop it. Like with the rules set up the way they are, like you have to make a play when the quarterback's a little off or when the receiver doesn't run exactly the right route, all that. If it is in sync, in Ohio State, that first half, that is about as in sync as you're going to see an offense. I didn't think it was Notre Dame was playing poorly, and I was thinking about it. You know, if Penn State's out there, like we'd be frustrated and yelling at the secondary, and why isn't Tom Allen doing this or that? And I'm like, it's because Ohio State is that good. Like there is a limit to what you can do defensively. And again, with the rules set up the way they are, it favors the offense. And if the quarterback is delivering the ball on target, and you have receivers who make the catch, you know, with their hands, like they're going to win.
Yeah,
they're just going to win that battle.
And you watch that first drive, and you're like, all right, man, this is going to be a game. But it was like, dude, the quarterback gassed himself. He ran the ball 9 times, 18 plays. Don't get me wrong. That was an unbelievable thing. That was the way you wanted to kick that game off. But as soon as Ohio State took the field on offense, Carey said to me, they're huge.
Yeah.
The size differential on the offense and defensive lines on both sides of the ball was the difference. I mean, I will give Notre Dame, I will take my hat off a couple times, tip it a few times. They showed a lot of you-know-what's going out there in that first drive and going 18 plays against a hell of a damn good.
Big time. Yep.
Very good Ohio State defense, and 4th down and 1, 4th down and 2, go for it twice and get it. But you knew as soon as Ohio State had that ball and Henderson was – it was just they were bigger, stronger, and faster than Notre Dame. Much bigger, stronger, much bigger, and much faster. The speed, Chip Kelly, that was the Chip Kelly offense right there at Oregon a few years ago.
Yeah.
And this is sort of scaring me. We got to get Chip another head coaching job somewhere. He's got to go back out west somewhere and get a head job somewhere because it ain't going to be good for Penn State if he's at Ohio State with that kind of talent in the future. Between you and me.
I hear you, and I do not disagree.
All right, what do you got Saturday?
That was a special,
you said Bills, Birds,
group.
Sunday, Bills, Birds?
Yeah,
Sunday
I think
is the greatest. Is Penn State wrestle Sunday?
No, I think. Listen, admittedly, I will admit my heart is probably overruling my head in the Bills Chiefs game, but I don't think like Kansas City is playing winning football, but this just does not feel like.
It doesn't feel like they're that, doesn't feel like the chainsaw that they usually just go
right. That type of a
people.
team, and it just feels like this is something special is happening within that Bills locker room this season with the way they're putting it together.
And it's crazy.
Despite the adversity they've faced.
You know that.
Yeah, completely.
They got rid of 3 of the 4 defensive backs and just said, okay, we're going to start fresh. And
I just I don't know. Again, part of it is I'm just rooting like crazy for Buffalo. But, yeah, I do think it'll be the Bills and the Eagles. I'm with you. I think Jaden Daniels makes this a very intriguing game, and I don't think it's just open and shut. Philadelphia takes care of business. But with that running game going the way it is right now, Goon, and that defense playing the way it is, over the course of 4 quarters, you feel like the defense is going to make a play or two in some key spots. And again, over 4 quarters, that running game, it wears defenses out. And I think it could be a very close game. I just think the Eagles, when it comes to crunch time at home, especially, they're going to find a way. Like I think it'll be an Eagles-Bills Super Bowl.
That would be fantastic for Goon. Then the Birds or LaSalle High School win. By the way,
yeah.
By the way, McDermott won the Maxwell Award Coach of the Year for the NFL.
Well deserved.
Yep.
We appreciate your listening. Again, I won't be here Thursday. The dear Goon will be back on Thursday from 2 to 4 right here at Quaker Steak and Lube. And you can listen for it again on WFXS Pleasant Gap State College. That's this very radio station, 98.7 The Fox. Until Thursday, be good and be safe.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXX, once again, the Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, the Fox, State College, the Goon and Ironhead.